Okay, Black Friday, drugstore makeup, let's get it. So I love drugstore makeup, but there's one compromise. I can't go without my Bobbi Brown face base. So let's get this cracking. And then we'll go in with the primer. This e.l.f. product, I love it. It's the Poreless Putty Primer. And it is just what it says. I've used quite a bit. It is a putty. Basically, you can take the little brush and you dab it onto the areas where you have larger pores or pores that stand out more. And it really does a good job of kind of blurring them. But so I just put a tiny bit of that on. But what I'm going to do today is I picked up the Poreless Face Primer. This is the putty version, and then this is just the liquid version. So we'll try this one. So the texture, let me get a pump, 2 pumps. So let me show you the texture of this. Creamy, kind of not chalky, but you know that texture, right? It's kind of gonna mattify. It's super silky on the skin. So it blurs. It is taking down the shine in the areas that I have texture. I also picked up their setting mist. Blue Light Micro Setting Mist. Long lasting wear. Oh, there's a little shaker in there. Sounds like a spray paint can. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a fine mist. I picked up the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser. I wanted to try this. I got a shade closest to what I thought would match my skin. So this is in shade 100 and it's supposed to be a medium to full coverage. I'm just gonna dab it on the back of my hand to get it started. Nobody talks about how long this takes to get going. Okay. So the applicator on this is really soft. Easy to kind of get worked into the places that you want it, which is nice. So these sides of your nose, you know, with that type of applicator is kind of nice. And just kind of putting it in all of the usual places, just seeing how much coverage I get out of this. And seeing how it sits with that primer. I feel like that's enough. Just gonna take my brush. I'm curious how this is gonna wear throughout the day, but it has a very silky consistency on top of that primer. And so that's been nice to work with. It kind of dries down silky. I'm just kind of putting it in the places where I need the most coverage. And then we'll get some foundation. Okay, so for my foundation, I don't necessarily have anything drugstore. Oopsies. So I grabbed the It Cosmetics CC Cream because I feel like you could get a formula similar to this at the drugstore and possibly even this particular one. I know I bought this at Ulta. So you could get a CC cream very similar to this. Okay, so I got a clean puff. And I'm going to take a little bit of this CC cream. So in general, CC creams are pretty forgiving, and the drugstore probably has very good CC creams that you could pick up. So they are, I want to say this one is like a full coverage, and it is 2 shades darker than my skin tone. That makes it a lot easier for blending into my self-tan. So you see now how we match. And before, my face is pretty light compared to my body. And you can kind of shear this out also, but it goes on pretty dark. And then you work it in and it kind of shears out. So far, these are laying together really nicely. And I'm not having any pilling or separating of the products. And it has a really nice, natural kind of matte look, which I think is going to be back in. For a long time, the dewy skin was in, but I feel like we're gonna be going a little bit more matte when it comes to the base. I think we're still going to have a highlighted cheek, but I think that the rest of the face is leaning more towards a matte look these days. As far as makeup trends go, I don't necessarily follow all the trends. I think finding what works for your skin and what works for you and what you feel confident in is the most important. But it's fun to try new things and, you know, keep up with the trends once in a while. So this is another drugstore brand, Catrice. And I think I'm going to grab this darkest color for contour. Picking up a small brush, I'm just going to grab this darkest shade and load up my brush. And let's see if this blends okay. Yeah. So far. So far, it's not creating any patchiness. It's maybe just a little bit patchy, but not too bad. Next, I'm gonna grab a cream blush. This is another drugstore brand called Treslúce Beauty in the shade Vacation. Just putting that right on top of my contour. Maybe a little bit on my forehead and the bridge of my nose. To kind of bring everything together. For powder, I'm just going to be using my Laura Mercier translucent setting powder. This is not available at the drugstore, but I'm just kind of placing that anywhere that I get oily throughout my day, just to kind of set everything down. I'm gonna grab a powder bronzer. This one is my Charlotte Tilbury. Kind of building up some of the color. Okay, so I grabbed this fun eyeshadow palette. I was kind of interested in the blues, the greens, and then I think I'm gonna try these for kind of a Thanksgiving Black Friday look for today's look. So this is the Profusion Cosmetics Spectrum palette. Quite a bit of pigment picks up when you tap into it. just gonna get some on there and then I'm gonna blend it out with my other brush. Color payoff is very nice. Oh, and these blend nicely. They kind of sheer out, maybe a little bit patchy. Just kind of merge these two together. So these are kind of patchy, but I like the colors. So I think what I'm going to do is take one of my Natasha Denona palettes and just kind of see if I can get them to be less patchy. So I think I'm going to take this darker color here and line my eyes. Okay, and then right next to my lashes, I'm going to go in with like a black or a dark, dark brown. That way there's no gap in between your liner and where your lashes are. All right, and then I think I'm going to add a little mascara on the bottom. My favorite drugstore mascara is the Maybelline New York Lash Discovery in Very Black. And this is a mini brush mascara. So we have a very small head on it, and I like that for my bottom lashes. It makes it a lot easier to get right in there. Gives you more control, I feel like. It's just like a little final details. I think I'll take that orange color and kind of put it under my bottom lashes just for a little more impact. Go ahead and do a little more of the setting spray to keep my eyeshadow where I want it. Okay, there's the eye. Okay, so I've done some lip liner. Okay, so this is it. This is the Black Friday look. Gonna go do my hair. Get ready to go, and I'll see you guys in the next one.